The Ori. Ole or oh no?
Let's find out today.
Welcome again to another episode of the Roulette Realtors. Okay, today we are finding out whether the Ori, our upcoming project in Toa Payoh, is it a Ole project or oh no project? Yeah, so Hector shall do the honors to run through the project.
Right, some very simple facts about the Ori. It's launching in Q1 2025. That's why we are doing the preparation work for this today. Developer is Transcend Residential, the joint venture between CDL, Fraser, and CK Sui. Location is in Toa Payoh, along Lorong 1. There are two blocks of 40 stories, 777 units, very lucky, 777, consisting of one bedroom plus study all the way up to five bedrooms. Preview day is starting on 3rd January, and we're expecting booking to happen on 18th January. As with every episode of Roulette Routers, we will spin the wheel and we will try to cover as many as we can. But on the profiles that we land on, we'll give our unfiltered opinion about whether this is a good buy for you or not.
So I haven't practiced this for a bit, but since we are at this view, let's try whether the sound still right. Right, let's go.
I think it's a HDB upgrader. I'm just looking at the
Yeah,
point.
so from the point itself, it feels like HDB upgrader.
Okay,
Great.
fine, let's do
Yes.
it.
Yeah,
HDB upgrader.
so the HDB upgrader is definitely one of the more favorite profiles of this or favorite profiles for this development. So we all know that Toa Payoh is the land of the $1 million HDB, right? So a lot of $1 million HDB flat owners, uh, they are they are willing and able to upgrade to a bigger place, right? So the most logical, unit types that they might upgrade to, I think would be the four bedder. So the four bedder, right? Uh, the smaller size unit is at 1216 square feet, right? So the indicative price for four bedders later will review it, right? But then viewers will see that the bedrooms are all stacked on one side of the house, right? So the reason why that's so, right, is because the developer prioritized the views of the unit, right? So allowing the views of the balcony to mirror that of the views of the master room all the way to the bedrooms. So at the Ori, the views ranges from the Merici view, right, towards. So there's also another view of the city, right? So you can see the view of Marina Bay Sands and so on. Okay, so I would say like the natural progression for a person who is staying at Toa Payoh if want to upgrade is a four bedder.
I think it's a very standard layout. We see this in a lot of the new projects, especially today. So the bedrooms all adjacent, like you mentioned, they will all enjoy the same particular view. If you look at the development itself for the two blocks of 40, I think it's building upon that majestic view that they're trying to offer buyers into this development, simply because the two blocks are pretty high, up to 40 stories. The bigger size units, the four bedders and the five bedders, are located on the edges of the block, meaning they're not clamped in the center, but they have unblocked views at the sides. So this particular four-bed floor plan that we're looking at is one to me that's pretty standard. It comes with your household shelter. It's got a very nice kitchen entrance as you walk into the unit, and it's got all the bedrooms tucked to one side, which will allow every occupant in each room to enjoy the same outward view, like you mentioned, either towards the MBS area and potentially even to the McVitie area, depending on which stack you choose. But to me, this layout is pretty sizable at 1,216 square feet. It's got a very substantial space for each room, accommodating king, queen, queen, queen. So some developments, for sake of quantum and making it a little bit more compact, we do see that some of the rooms are a little bit smaller, which potentially may not come with a walk-in wardrobe. Sorry, not walk-in wardrobe, but a wardrobe. In this case, the developers here were generous enough to offer a sizable room that can accommodate a queen size or king size bed. All comes with a wardrobe on its own, which I think is pretty standard.
Mm.
Um, Nothing much to shout about in terms of the ventilation in the bathrooms as well. Both come with windows for ventilations. I think just overall, it's a very safe and very traditional adjacent layout for the bedrooms with no odd corners on the floor.
So I'll kind of just like to point out that this is a post-harmonization project. So as you can see from the floor plan, this excludes the AC ledge. So for some of you all who are familiar with four beders, right, might think that four beders of a 1,002 square foot is considered quite small. We need to understand that typically, the four beders out there, right, that mirrors this size, we need to add another 5 to 6% to this square foot. So we're looking at quite a close, I think the close cousin to this type of layout would be the 1313 or the 13024 beta layout, right? That you can see for other pre-harmonization projects. Okay,
For
so
those who require a bit of a bigger space, of course, there's also the four-bed premium that
mm,
comes with a study. The main difference here is that there is sort of a semi-flexible space tucked towards the end of the unit, just across bedroom two. This particular sizable study is quite interesting in my opinion because it accommodates two seatings. It's a pretty horizontal layout in terms of the study. So it really does serve potentially as a young children's bedroom if you want to convert that by building an additional door. But also, it should fit the needs of a larger family. So if you have multiple children in the household, this would be a very, very good study area for both your kids and even potentially an office for the parents if they do decide to convert this into one. But overall, the layout, with the exception of the slightly longer foyer, I think it's a pretty standard layout. It's very, very safe in terms of not having any odd corners and a very good view. So overall, as a product, I do think that this is a very good product for HDB upgraders with a sizable household that wants to have that value for their buck when it comes to having a potentially good view if they select a higher unit, but also spaces that they can fully optimize and use.
so for households who are thinking of topping out a little bit, so we're making where we're not revealing the cat out of the bag yet on the pricing, but let's look at the five beta, right? To see whether you might find this even a better buy. So the five beta, right, it comes with a private lift, right? So I've mentioned this on the show multiple times. I feel that for five betas, right, it will not be complete without a private lift. Because these days, right, a lot of the there's multiple units on the same floor. Okay, do note that for the Ori, right, the developer is giving four lifts per floor, right? Given that it's a 40-story apartment, four lifts per floor is really unheard of, right? But then even with that, right, it's important to have a private lift for a five bedder, especially for people who are buying into such a premium layout. So for five bedder, the interesting thing is that they don't have all the bedrooms on the same view as the balcony. I just find it a bit odd with the junior master with of course it comes with the ensuite bar, but I just find it a bit odd that the junior master feels a bit small, right? So if I were to put a master bed into the junior master, it might feel a bit squeezy, right? So the
Yeah,
master
I
feels
do agree.
mm,
I do
feels a
agree
bit
as well.
like mm,
I think for a five-bedroom layout like this, I was kind of expecting the junior master bedroom to be on the other side. So it sort of forms
like a
a
dumbbell.
private, like a dumbbell, like a private space on the other end of the unit. Having
Mm,
all the bedrooms on one side of the apartment, in this case, the particular orientation is all the bedrooms on the right side. Your junior master bedroom, I want to say that there could be potentially a slight pocket view rather than an unblocked view if it's a higher unit, because there is a block. In this particular stack, there is one block in front of the junior master bedroom. So I don't know whether there's a contentious point here, but that's one caveat I think we need to point out to the audience. In terms of the bathroom itself, personally, I enjoy the junior master bathroom a little bit more. I'm not a big fan of the Jack and Jill bathroom that comes sort of like the common bathroom if it's a junior master bedroom. So I do like that this has an ensuite bathroom to itself. The only point here I have is in terms of that common bathroom two, that's just across bedroom three. I do think that the lack of ventilation in that particular bathroom is sort of a negative point, in my opinion, for a five-bedroom. Overall, I think the floor plan is okay. I wouldn't say it's the most optimized in my opinion, but I would have
mm.
liked it a little bit more if we have the junior master bedroom on the left side of this particular layout so that the common bathroom too has ventilation access. So in this case, it's back to back.
So same as Hector, I kind of feel like the bathroom doesn't leave much for imagination. Probably because this is a PVVC project. For the audience who are not too sure about PVVC, it stands for prefabricated volumetric construction, which is needed for all the government land sale projects. So as you can see, right, the junior master bath has the same layout as the bathroom 2, right? So like the developer has to do it this way because they have to prefabricate the concrete somewhere else. Right. Same for the master bath. I just feel that it doesn't leave much to imagination. I would have expected at least a his and hers, right? So it feels a bit smallish, right? The master
Mm.
bath, right? So back to Hector's point on the junior masters probably will get a block view from the layout itself on the I will just circle it from the bottom left corner here. You can see that the facing for the 5 beta, right, actually is an unblocked. So I guess the developer probably guessed that the junior master is okay to have the view on the other side because they get the opposite view. So if this unit is enjoying the city view, then the junior master get the Merici view. So they can sort of propose that the 5 betas will get the best of both worlds.
Yeah, definitely. But overall, I think it's a nice space. Just some of the negative points we talked about. I also want to mention that the foyer is a bit smaller. So directly entering the unit, you get greeted by the kitchen and the bomb shelter. So I do think that that's a good use of space. It's directly into your living area rather than through a foyer, which some folks may not enjoy so much.
Hmm. So now I must say the very important question is, now that we have shown the viewers the 4 bed, the 5 beds, how is the price like?
Indicative prices, right? Clive, you want to talk about this?
Yeah, I mean, I just of the opinion that now with the post harmonization projects, right? Especially for the audience who are not so familiar with this term, exclude the aircon ledges, it excludes certain portions of the curtain walls. Quantum is the game of the town. Or in fact, I would say quantum is the only game in town, right? With the 4 bed, which is the 1216 selling at 2.9x million. So I guess the developer got it right. Anywhere below a 3 million quantum for a 4 bed of such a decent size, it's a very palatable quantum. Then, for some of our audiences who has the ability to upgrade a little bit to 5 beta just at a jump of around 500K, they get the 5 beta. Right. So I feel that the developer is pricing the projects pretty well. But do know that this is just the guide price. Right. Then of course Hector later will run us through what we think is the safe entry price, right, for this project. Yeah, Hector, any opinion on this?
Nothing much, pretty much similar to what you mentioned. I think the audiences might have already been very familiar with these guide prices. We did see very similar numbers across projects like EOK as well as Trump Park. So I think quantum is where the developers are treading very thinly on. If you look at the 4 bit and 5 bit, nothing much to scream about there. We say that the guide price starts from 2.9x. We usually round up just to give ourselves a bit of a buffer when we think about prices. Even at 3 million for a 4 bedroom, I think it's a very, very good entry price, just given its size. 5 bedroom is even better at 3.4, 3.5 million. For the sizes that is commanding right now, I think these prices are very, very in line with the region. So Toa Payoh itself is an RCR region. Just a little bit on the pricing itself. If I look at the 5 bedroom to give you an idea, even at 3.5 million starting, we are looking at 2,400, which is a very, very good price for an RCR project, given that its average now across Singapore for RCR project is at about 2,500 plus PSF. So if you're able to get a 3.5 million, I think it's a fair deal. I think it's a great deal for your 4 beds and 5 beds at a $2,400 to $2,500 PSF.
Hmm. Right. Could you look at the past transactions, kind of also justify what is the correct entry price, for our audience if they're HDB upgraders into the area?
Sure. I think good for us here is that we've got a nice comparison as well. When we talk about the Orie and Toa Payoh, just right across the road, a very tiny road of about 10 meters wide, we do have one project there called Gem Residences. There aren't that many condominiums in the Toa Payoh vicinity that we can compare. But Gem Residences is a very, very good comparison because of its close proximity to the Ori. So when we look at price trend of Gem Residences, just looking at the last, excuse me, just looking at a few transactions that have happened this year or in the last quarter, we see that Gem Residences have actually struck about close to $2,000 PSF for the units they have transacted there. Gem Residences is a development that completed in 2019. So by the time the Ori is going to be ready, it's about 10 years old. So when we look at that comparison for 2000, factoring a $50 per year increment in terms of PSF, we are looking at about $2,500 to 2,600 for the Ori to be what we call fair value and an acceptable rate. So in my opinion, any unit that falls within that particular PSF range of 2,500 to 2,600 at the Ori is a fair value buy. Anything below is a definitely must buy. And anything above will beg the question of whether you're buying for homestay or investment purposes. So at $2,500 is a fair price PSF wise for any unit at the Ori.
So I'll kind of just add on to Hector's point. We are making the comparison between Gem and Ori simply for a like or like project. So later I will actually run through, with other profiles that, HDB upgraders into the area, they actually will compare Gem and Ori, no doubt, right? Then they will find out that okay, there's some differences between Gem and Ori, despite the fact that they're side by side projects. Gem has a multi-story car park. Gem is facing a temple. Gem's landscaping is not 100%, right? In a sense that for Ori, the project is a raised project. Second floor is 8 meters off the ground. The developer has built-in landscaping over 100% of the site area, right? So with this in mind, that's when I feel that I slightly differ with Hector on where he thinks is a fair value buy because he's basing it off the fact that okay, what if Gem and Ori has the same attributes, so the fair value is between maybe 2005. I'm more inclined to believe the fair value is around 2006, 2650, right? Given that Ori seems like a better built project, it has a underground car park, right? For convenience, it has 100% landscaping view. It has a raised platform which allows people on the second floor to even enjoy an eighth floor. So people on the 40th floor is enjoying a 48th floor. So this is probably the tallest height that you can find in Toa Payoh. So it does command a bit of a premium over Gen residences. So my opinion is that the fair entry price is somewhere between 2006 2650.
Okay, so just to summarize, for HDB upgraders, we think that there are good options, both from a 4-bed and 5-bed perspective at the Ori. And can we say that if prices were ranging around that 2,600 to 2,650 range, HDB upgraders should feel at ease to know that they're buying the project that has a good and safe entry price.
Mm.
Okay,
Right.
agreed. Agreed. So I think that's the summary for HDB upgraders. Clive,
Let
let's try to cover one more.
so I was thinking HDB upgraders. I want to click into the schools because I was imagining HDB upgraders who are coming from other areas, right? They will also enjoy 1 km access to all these schools, right? Especially I think people will know Patron Public School very well subscribed. First Toa Payoh Primary School. So with the schools factor, I even haven't even mentioned the MRT factor, 5 minutes to Braddell, and it's a large development. So yeah, HDB upgraders would definitely prefer this project. This is what we call the acronym SML project, schools, MRT, and large development. Right, just close it up.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Let's look at another profile. Okay, let's go. Trrrr. Wow,
Three Gen family.
three gen family, right? So three gen family, I think we might need to touch back on the five beta, but I think we can just comment slightly on this because some of the content overlaps with the HDB upgrader, right? Don't you agree, Hector?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. So
But I think for three Gen family,
mm,
rather than just going through the same 5-bedroom, 4-bedroom layout, needless
probably
to
a
say,
dual key layout, right? You're saying
sorry?
there's probably a dual key layout that they can play with.
Yeah, there's probably a dual key layout, but I don't think that is so suitable for the three Gen family. I think that 5-bedroom that we talked about earlier
Mm,
makes a lot more sense for that 5 Gen family.
Mm,
But I think when we talk about three-gen family, we are potentially looking at buyers who have lived in Toa Payoh or who are currently residing in Toa Payoh.
mm,
So in terms of that amenities and location, the Orie itself offers quite a bit. It's in a very, very mature estate in Singapore. It's got your amenities, your supermarkets, which is less than 200 meters away. Actually, it's along Lorong 4 and Lorong 1 at that intersection. So there is an amenity, there are amenities there in terms of food, in terms of hawker centers, coffee shops, hardware shops, as well as a supermarket. I'm a big fan of the area. I do go there quite often. There's a very famous steamed fish store as well as a kway chap store that's right next door. So at the Ori itself, I think for the three-gen family, there's going to be a lot of that creature comforts. And like you talk about in terms of SML, right? The schools, the MRT. Three-gen, you got the schools, the famous and popular schools for the children that leads up from primary school all the way to tertiary education. Then you also have your MRT, which is definitely less than 5 minutes away. It's Braddell MRT. In fact, I think someone did a walk the other day. It was only about, correct me if I'm wrong, Clive, it was only about 300 meters or so
I mean, our
to
viewers
Braddell
should
MRT.
know. Sorry, I just want to add a bit because like usually when they talked about like distance to the MRT, the Ori has this very interesting route to the MRT where you can cut through HDB blocks, so you can kind of enjoy a bit of a sheltered walk to the Braddell MRT. So as you know, right, some of these HDB blocks they have sheltered walkway all the way to the MRT. So in a way, I would say, right, so if with Ori is just beside the HDB, so if let's say, uh future developments to the area would include like a sheltered walkway to the HDB blocks, then you get even a sheltered walkway all the way to Red MRT. Yeah. So I think that is more important than, so if let's say I give you 500 meters or 300 meters to the MRT, but it's unsheltered versus a sheltered walkway to the MRT. I think that's a big difference.
I think the beauty here is that there's options. Oh.
Yeah.
So if you take the more direct route, it's probably a 300 plus with some parts unsheltered. With sheltered, with that creative walk that I know you're referring to, it's probably going to be about 400 or 500.
Hmm.
So the beauty here is it's still very short, right? Whether you choose, whether it's a good fare, whether you decide to take the unsheltered route, or it's raining heavily and you decide to take the sheltered route. So the beauty here is that there are options available to folks living at the Ori. So again, it makes sense to that pre-gen family. But other than that, I think very much we are still looking at that five-bedroom category for three-gen family. Four-bedroom maybe a little bit small at about 1,216 to 1,367
Hmm.
square feet. Not to say it won't work, but it might be a little bit less comfortable, so to speak.
Right. So maybe we'll give the wheel another spin. Let's see where it lands.
Yeah, let's do that.
Right. Let's go. Wow. First timer.
First timer. Been a while.
So it's been a while because I mean the profiles of first timer for the viewers who are not so familiar, right? They're usually a younger couple or just a single name buyer. They're typically between your 25 to 35, right? The prospects and clients who have met in this group, they probably uh are not doing the usual BTO slash HDB route first. They're going the condo route for reasons like perhaps they are on a high income trajectory, they are thinking of diversifying their portfolio away from equities and bonds, right? Or even maybe they have some parental support, right? So
Hmm.
what would the type of layouts for Hector you think the first timer can look at?
Few layouts I can think of. I can definitely think of the two bed as a very obvious answer. So when I think about first timer, I'm thinking about people in the age group that you mentioned. But also I'm thinking about people who want to have their own space. They preferably want to have a little, I call it like a computer room or an office, right? So to speak. So I think a two-bed comes across as the most obvious target. At the Ori, there are two beds available, a compact two-bedder, but there are also two-bed premium that comes with a study. So this
Mm,
particular floor plan that I brought up on screen is one that's a two-bed premium plus study. It comes at 700 square feet, which is a very generous size for two-bedroom. But also it comes with a very traditional dumbbell layout that people like. The dumbbell layout makes a lot of sense because you may have friends and family that come over. Maybe it's a first timer who has moved out of the family. Sometimes their parents come across. for a visit. They may want to have a spare room to offer as a guest room. So nothing much to scream here. You have a Jack and Jill bathroom for your bedroom two. The master bedroom comes with an ensuite bathroom. Dumbbell layout, no odd corners, no wasted space in terms of foyer, which some people may not like. When you enter the unit, the only part that I feel is a little bit strange here, which may double up as a storeroom, is actually the study area on the left. So as you enter the unit with the study area on the left, that to me personally, I feel like it's a little bit of a weird space there for the study to be. Most people might turn that into like a dry pantry of sorts, just because the kitchen is so nearby. But for first timer, probably looking at this particular two-bed layout. Price wise, if I were to bring up the chart again very quickly, price wise, we are looking at two-bedder starting from about 1.5x million. Now, I think this is again a very familiar price point for EOK, for Trump Park, works out to be within that safe PSF range that we talked about earlier.
Just a
This two
caveat.
bed,
Yeah, just a caveat, sorry for Hector, because this two bed, right, 1.5x is for the
hmm,
592 square foot layout. So
uh,
viewers should not be mistaken that, oh, like the 2 plus study is starting from 1.5x. We just want to qualify ourselves also because this Ori guide price, we actually got like preferential access to it, still subject to variation by the developer, subject to the
hmm,
approval. So if I were to mirror, like just to add on to Hector's point, if I were to mirror 1.5x for 592 square foot, right?
hmm,
So that will give us around like 1.5. So let's say I do a
so
1.6
1.6.
1.6592. I use the same square footage for for the two bed two bath. We are looking at potentially a 1.88x million quantum for the two bed
Hmm,
plus study. Yeah, so
hmm.
that should be what we are expecting lah. Maybe like even stretching to 1.9-ish if you are looking at the higher floors.
So good price or bad price, Clive? What's your take on this?
Wow. So I feel the first timers are in for a treat because the developers giving the first timers a lot of choice. We have around 78 units of compact two bed, one bath, which is 592. We have now another 77 or 78 two bed, two bath at 646. We have another 78 or 77 units of 678 and this 700 square foot. So I feel like for people who might, especially for our first timers who might feel like a bit priced out of the two bed plus study, they shouldn't like not consider this project because there's very efficiently sized two bed, compact two beds starting at 1.5x. So as an entry price unit, I feel that 1.5x million for the 592 square foot with a two bed one bath is still a very palatable quantum and a good first time buy for people who are thinking of entering. Right. So like as Hector mentioned, the other bedroom can serve as a guest room, right? The bathroom will be able to be co-shared by the master bedroom as well as the other bedroom. So I feel that at 1.5x is still a price to consider, right? Yeah. So people shouldn't just walk away if let's say they don't get the two bed plus study. Yeah, or find it slightly a bit too expensive.
Okay, so if they look at two bed plus study, are we looking at a three bed instead for potential first timer?
Yeah, so there's actually a three bed layout that Hector you want to like kind of pull our attention to, right? It's also a
Yeah.
hotel layout. Yeah. So for Hector, like what's your opinion on this place? If let's say I'm putting in a bit of money, this starting from 2.1x million, is it is
Okay.
it is it worth that additional money like 200 each K to upgrade to a 850 square foot?
Depends, right? So when we talk about the quantum, if we use your earlier number, if the two bed plus study was at 1 point, and I'm
Eight,
talking about the average, right? So mid
yeah,
floor, maybe on the 20th floor or something.
maybe 1.9.
So 1.9 plus 2 million for 20th
1.9.
floor.
Yeah.
Okay, what's interesting is this particular three bed. This is one of the more interesting floor plans I've come across in recent times. I haven't seen a dumbbell three bedroom in quite some time in a new project. This is a really compact three bedroom, 850 square feet. So that's a difference of about 150 square feet versus the two bed plus study. Same orientation, same layout, got an additional bedroom. that can fit a queen size bed that has a wardrobe in there as well. What's interesting to me is if you are paying for the higher floor two-bed plus study, potentially crossing the $2 million mark, then I argue that this three-bedroom compact might be a better buy. Because at some point, your two-bed plus study on the higher floor doesn't give you that same creature comfort in terms of space. I think it makes more sense for you to move up a notch into the three-bed space. Because ultimately, your three-bedroom, especially when the project is completed and on the resale market in the years to come, your three-bedroom will command a higher price point than your two-bedroom plus study. That's the, the, the hierarchy of these unit types. Your three beds will be more expensive than your two beds. Your two beds will be more expensive than your one bed. So to me, if you can get a slightly below mid-floor compact three bed, potentially at 2.2 million, I argue that the 100K difference might make more sense. Getting a bigger space for your own stay if you're one of those own stay buyers. But from an investment standpoint, your resale value is definitely better as well when the project is completed. Just because you got a bigger space, you got an additional room, your prospective buyer can buy into a project like this, can buy into a unit like this versus a two-bed plus study.
Mm.
So I'm not necessarily saying that the three-bed here is definitely better, but at some point, if you're left with the really high floors for two-bedroom plus study at the Orie, you might want to consider. Again, this is on balloting day. There's a lot of dynamics involved. You might want to consider a compact three bed like this at 850 with no wasted space, with three bedrooms and a dumbbell layout. I think this is by far the most interesting floor
Mm.
plan I've seen in the Ori so far.
I just have a slightly different point of view as Hector because I feel that usually developers, when they have a larger floor plate, right, they kind of want to inch it for the buyer to upgrade. But if I have a choice between the 850 as well as the 700, I don't think the price gap is as small as 100K as Hector mentioned. If you are looking at the same floor, right, I think the price point could
No,
be
different floor, high floor and low floor three bed.
high floor and low floor. Okay,
Yeah.
so if I'm just comparing apple to apple, right, the price gap can be between 350 to 400K. Then I'm just thinking 350 to 400K, right? I'm getting a bit of a bedroom and a store. Okay, so I just want the viewers to take a look back at the two bed plus study, right? Hector, could you just bring me back to the previous slide? Okay, right, for the two bed plus study. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you could find it. Yes, correct. Okay, so like viewers will see that this layout and the other layout, you are getting so the other bedroom that the 850 square foot unit is offering is also a smaller bedroom. So I feel that it's not much a substantive increment in terms of this two bed plus study. And the 850 square foot for hectare, sorry, room back, it gives a bit of a smaller store, which I feel, it's a bit like uh not also too much of a value add. So if it's a like Hector mentioned, if it's a if it's a 350 400K difference, I wouldn't consider it. But like with this is expected to be a well-received project, right? A lot of people are looking at it. So if the balloting day comes and viewers are left with maybe high floors of two bed plus study, so that could be a chance where the price gap between 700 to 850 can narrow. I don't think to 100K it's a bit absurd, but maybe narrow to 200K ish. I think that's where,
Possible for 100K.
yeah,
Possible.
yeah.
So
So,
all I'm saying, you don't compare it on the same floor, right? All I'm saying is, if it's a high floor two-bed plus study, you really need to consider a lower floor three-bed compact like this.
mm, mm,
Because again, for your homestay, it's a larger space, it's slightly larger space. It's subjective on whether you think the space is important or not. But on the resale value, right? If I'm talking about potentially when you upgrade, when you move out of the lorry, on the resale market, your three-bed will command a higher price than your two-bed plus study. So at some point, when it's so high up for two-bed plus study, granted the view aside, right? If you're looking at a two-bedroom plus study that's on a very, very high floor, that's asking for a very high price, with a gap that's very small between that and a three-bed compact, then you really need to consider that your prospective buyer in the future in the resale market will pay that kind of premium? Will they pay the same premium for for that view, for the higher floor on a two-bed plus study versus a three-bed compact?
Hmm.
That's the consideration here. Floor to floor, there's nothing to say, right? Because the price gap will be factored in into the market price.
Hmm.
You make a decision on which one you want and where your budget is. But
Hmm.
all I'm saying is at a two-bed plus study on a very, very high floor, you cannot ignore the fact that there will be a compact three-bed that is hovering at a price point is hovering very close to that,
Hmm.
which your prospective buyers will take into consideration in the future.
Hmm. Can. So I was thinking like as we round to the conclusion of the show, I think there's this elephant in the room that we want to address, which is Trump up, right? So the audience for Ori, in our opinion, wouldn't, at least in my opinion, wouldn't vary too much from Trump up, given that they're very close by, right? And it's open news that Trump up transacted at 2579 square foot without harmonization. So if I were to factor in a simple 5 or 6% increase in to factor in the post harmonization price, Trump up will be 2,700 PSS post harmonization, right? So at if I'm just comparing apple to apple in terms of the pricing, so for Hector, I just want to bounce it off you and put you in a spot a bit. Trump up at 2,700 PSF post harmonization versus Ori 2,700 PSF. Come, which one? It's more of a kick for you.
Sorry, do you mean which one is a better buy
Yeah,
or?
which one is a better buy?
I mean, I've already expressed my opinions multiple times. I think Trump Park at 2,700, in my
Post
opinion.
harmonization price. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So let's just we are comparing the same thing, right? So we don't have to mention that. So
Mm,
at Trump Park at 2,700, comparing the Ori at 2,700, I think definitely Ori is a slightly better buy. Simply because it's an RCR project. It's as simple as that.
mm,
Trump Park, for all matters, is still an OCR project. Generally, in terms of price trend, yes, OCR projects do appreciate quite well. But I think that $2,700, if I'm thinking from a capital appreciation perspective, has already factored in the price growth for the next substantial 5 to 10 years. I don't think it's going to be easy for people who buy in the Trump at 2,700 to exit 3 years later or 4 years later in their case, at say $3,000 PSF. I just don't see it happening for OCR. Whereas for RCR, for the Ori, if it's at 2,700, I think the likelihood of them exiting at 2,900 is still a little bit higher than that of Trump Park. So just on that basis alone, I do think Ori is a better project at 2,700. Although my personal opinion is still that the walkaway price, the walkaway price is definitely when it surpasses that 2,700 plus PSF. Then I think it gets into a very dangerous territory where we are looking at buyers buying to a price that is not supported in the region. You have to understand, again, Gem Residences completed in 2019, they transacted at 1,600 plus PSF. Today, they are transacting close to 2,000 PSF. And these are properties that have only been around for about 5 years. So ask yourself whether 2,700, whether you can do that same translation to 3,000, 3,001 at the Ori in 5 years. I don't think so. So again, pricing is important into why you buy into the area. It may not be the only reason, but simply just focusing on price alone, I think Ori is better at 2007 versus Trump Park at 2007.
mm. So just to extrapolate on your point, if Trump up sold 76% on day one, what's your number? What's your best guess for Ori on day one?
60, oh?
60.
If it's
I'm
at 2,700 average, it's at 60%.
hmm,
That's my best guess.
that's quite interesting because you're saying that Ori is a better buy than Trumpa. Trumpa sold
Hmm.
76%. I'm just gonna keep up with your point. I'm gonna say Ori is gonna be sold at 77% on day one. Simply because it's supposed to be a better buy. If the price is right, the average price point is below 2,700 PSF, I think buyers are in for a treat. I think that is a is this is a safe and a right entry price. So just just also for the sake of the number of units 777. I think if they can sell 77 units on day one, I think it will be auspicious and a very good sign. Yeah.
Potentially. But again, just like with all investments and everything property related, reach out to your trusted advisor, reach out to myself, reach out to Clive. We can always help you manage your journey on this. More importantly, if you want someone to take you down to the Ori, walk you through it, and take you through whether this is the project for you, feel free to contact us. Anything else to add, Clive?
Yeah, sure. Like for buyers of Ori, they like to see a good deal, right? So if you want to meet us, you're getting two for the price of one, right? So yeah, so do check us out and hope to bring you to the show flat, right?
All right, that's it all for today's episode. Thank you guys. We'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, see everybody on the next episode. Bye bye.
Bye bye.